Hi, hello everybody. Do you hear me correctly? Hello. Is the sound is good? Great. Perfect. Thank you. So we can start. The goal of tonight's stream session is to present you how to install and configure LotAtc Server, and I will show also the reason to use LotAtc Link, and finally I will show you how to manipulate AI in flight with DCS using LotAtc Link. So it's a long program. Do not hesitate to ask questions, of course. I will try to answer to all of them. I'm pretty sure that for a lot of you, there is you know how to install LotAtc, but sometimes it's great to show you the tips and what is behind, how it works, and what you can do with it. So, of course, the first step is to download the software. So it's very simple. You have to go to the website, LotAtc, and then you have the download button, and there you have one installer. There is only one installer for all software. So for all this software, it's very simple. You can install either server or client or both, and you can do everything with only one exam. When you have downloaded it, you get a setup. You can run it. The way it works is very simple. In fact, the installer is just a small application that will go to the server, the LotAtc server, and get the real files. So you can keep this setup as long as you want. It's always good because LotAtc will be retrieved from the server, and you will get always the up-to-date version. In the settings repository, you can have several options, and the LotAtc beta option that allow you to have some beta when they are. For example, actually we have the 2.3 version that is beta for sometimes now, but it will be stable soon. So make your choice. You can change that later, of course. I will show you. Then you get the installation. Here you are all the maps and all the software. So here there are some things important to know. For example, if you need the Syria map or the Persian Gulf map, you have two choices: the relief file, that is the terrain data for these maps, and the visual maps. Terrain data is mandatory for both server and clients. It's used by server to compute the line of sight for each radar, so it's very important to have it. If you have not installed it, all the world will be flat. It's the flat Earth, no conspiracy there. And it will work, but you have not the terrain simulation in that. And the visual maps is for client only. It's only the tiles you see in the LotAtc client. So for a server installation, we just click on the relief files you want. So for example, I will take Persian Gulf and Syria. I don't tell about charts. Charts is the airport data. So the airport files with all approach that are available for some terrain, some theater. In application, you have both application for the stable and the beta directory, so I will not check. Papis charts is additional charts for the Persian Gulf and Syria, so I don't need for the server. In server, I have different choice, stable and unstable as before. LotAtc generator is a standalone server that is used to avoid to use LotAtc client without the needs of DCS, in order to learn how to control or to learn to someone, to teach someone how to use LotAtc client or the control. In our case, I don't need it. And then for each version, you have the standard LotAtc and the OVAGME package. Here it's the same version, except this one is the zip used for that. So I want to install both stable and unstable. I can install several versions in parallel. It's not a problem. In fact, the way it's working, it's you have the major number, the first two, and the second, the minor version, the 2 or the 3, and each one is a branch, a separated branch for both server and client. So you can install all 2.2 and all 2.3. And when you get a new update of the 2.2, you will update the 2.2 and not the 2.3. So you can install both on your computer, and you can switch dynamically on your server if you want the 2.2 on one instance, for example, and the 2.3 on other instance or not. In the tool, you have LotAtc configurator is needed. We will see later. It's the application I wrote to help configure the LotAtc profile and configuration. It is not necessary mandatory, but it makes your life easier by installing that. In all ways, if you select LotAtc server, LotAtc configurator is automatically installed. And LotAtc editor is the part to edit scenario for LotAtc generator. It's not our case tonight. I will certainly do a stream session later with to explain what you can do with that. And that's all. I finish. I just select for all terrain I want the relief file, both stable and unstable, because I want both, and the configurator. I finish. I put next, select my start menu shortcut. I am ready to install. I will not install there because I have already all installed, but the process is just you click on install, you will download all the necessary package and install it in the directory you want. At these steps, when you have finished that, you have not installed LotAtc Server on DCS. You have just get the files and make them available for LotAtc configurator to install in your instance. We will see that later. Once you are finished, you can launch directly LotAtc configurator. I will consider it and I will show you that. Is there any question for this part? It's the easier one. Should be okay. So once you finished, LotAtc configurator is launched. Normally, okay, that's it. So 2 years ago, it was not existing, this application, and you have to manage everything manually. And it's quite complex and it's not very easy to test. Now I create this application that it's not perfect, but do the job. There is a big step for the 2.3. I could show you later. How it works. You have here all your instances on your server. So generally you have 1 or 2. As you see, the DCS standard, the stable version, the open beta, and perhaps the open beta server. I have all, and I have make a lot of instances because as I develop LotAtc, I need a lot of instances of DCS to be tested. And for each instance, you have the statue of the LotAtc inside. So for DCS and DCS open beta, as you see, LotAtc is currently not installed. For my version of dedicated, I have the current dev version that is installed, etc., etc. Tonight we will see the OBStream instance. It's running with current open beta. And we will install there LotAtc and configure for that inside. So firstly, I will click here. You see we have the 2 branch, the 2.2 and the 2.3 I have installed, the current version of each branch. So if you have an update, you can update each branch. So tonight we try this one. And when I will click on install, what's happened behind? It's quite simple. In fact, it will take the data that is currently in. If I go to my directory, program files, I go in airborne software, quite a lot of things there. Up. Where are you? Yep, sorry. It's LotAtc. Oh yeah, it's not the good directory. So here, my install directory. And there you have all program you have installed. And in the server directory, you have the 2 branches, 2.2 and 2.3. In each one, you have, in fact, what is need to be copied to your save game directory. So you have 3 directory: script, mods, and mission. In mission, it's currently void, but it will be filled later. In mods, you have the classic services LotAtc directory. And in 2.3, in the script directory, you have the hooks that will be installed. So it's my original files that has been installed by the installer. And when I will click here, I will copy these files to my OBStream directory that is here. As you see, currently in services, I have a void directory on ESRS. I click on install, job is done. Here I have all my files. So it's pretty simple to install your version in that. If I want the 2.3, I click on modify, and now I have the 2.3. So you can switch easily. It should be done when DCS is off, otherwise it could cause trouble. Up, and that's all. Now to activate it. By default, I decided to not activate LotAtc. You have two options to activate it. First one is when you use DCS GUI, so the interface. I will launch it to show you. And secondly, it's when you use the dedicated server, the dedicated version. And I will see after that. So at this time, what's happened? It's loading DCS. One thing important here is that all this information is extracted from the DCS.log. So it's not a real-time information. It just read the DCS.log and analyze it and display information you set. That's why there is a refresh button and that information is changing. In 2.3 there is an automatic refresh, so there's no more needs to click on refresh. But for the 2.2 you need to click refresh to have an update set. In my DCS you can find the application here. And if you are using DCS as a GUI, just go to Special here and enable this LotAtc. You can choose your profile here, and that's all. So with this setup, you can launch any mission here, and LotAtc will run. It will not work for dedicated server because DCS has not the same way to launch LotAtc. So you need to do another way. So that's when you use on your desktop or for a demo mode, for example. For server installation, you have a dedicated button here. Let's say, you are a DCS instance. LotAtc is not in dedicated. You can click here, or you can go to config and click dedicated here. And it automatically set up all you need. So it activates the server and set a default profile. So here, installation is finished. Our LotAtc is installed for this instance and it's okay. Now we will see how to configure it. Is there any questions about the installation? No. I can explain you, if you want, how it works internally. In fact, before going to the configuration. So in fact of how it works is very simple. You have the DCS here, the DCS.exe process that is running. When it loads all module, so the third parts module. It can be an aircraft, can be anything, and inside you will find LotAtc, and it will load here the LUR file that is in script. LotAtc game GUI, and this script will load a DLL, so an application, a kind of application, like the code. It's no more LUI, it's C++ there, and this one that is installed in mod service will run inside a lot of threads that will do the simulation inside. So it's really important to understand that all this part is inside DCS. It's run with the main thread, but all these parts is running independently. It's launched by DCS, but it's not in the main loop. It works in the other core of your CPUs. So all the simulation is done like that. So you don't need to have a lot of resources on that because it is multi-threading. If you are interested by that, sorry, you can check my article I have done some times ago on the performance, and you have all the explanation of how it works internally with the synchronization, the update. I have a lot of questions about performance of the LotAtc server, but it's very well multi-threaded, and I do a lot of things to decrease the CPU use. That's something that it works well, and that's it. So if you are interested, you can see this article. I try to be the more open on this subject for you. So once we have our setup correct, we can configure it. So let's go to the config. We will review the different values. So in command setup, you have the enable LotAtc. So when I click on the dedicated, it will switch that on. This part is important, it's the port. So the network port of LotAtc server that must be different than the DCS one. Each one talk on his port. And if you put the same port, there is a lot of problem. It will not work. So each port must be different. The password for the red and the blue coalition. You can limit the clients. If you want only one red client or one blue client, you can set the value. By default, it is negative. That tells the system there is no limit. So that's the command setup. Virtual AWACS is for creating any unit to tell to the system that a specific unit is an AWACS. For example, I want that my Roosevelt is an AWACS. Why not? So if I name my unit Roosevelt in DCS mission and put the name here, LotAtc will use the Roosevelt unit as an AWACS with 400 kilometers of range and an altitude, a virtual altitude of 8,000 meters. It can be useful if you want to do some specific scenario. I have some clients that do some missions with only one AWACS in the flight. That is a P-51, for example, with a human behind, and it must be killed by the raid or something like that. It's more fun than realism, but it's great. There is also an option to create a virtual AWACS statics on bulls. So if you if you check that you have a virtual AWACS vertical of the bulls that makes the works of radar. the same way. It's useful for the PvP competition, for the SATAC, for example. That's the option they use. There is some specific option for the radar. For example, ignore radar name. So all radar call LotAtc ignore some things will not be used as a radar. So you can bypass that. And a minimal detection range to be considered as a radar. So every unit that has a detection limit inferior at this value will not be considered as a radar and will not be part of the radar coverage. So by default, this value is to eliminate every Vulkan, Shilka, or something like that, but all radar superior to that will be used as a radar. If you want to increase that, you can increase this value. Is it in meter? Some option to disable logs. By default, LotAtc use the chat with DCS, so it interacts with the chat. It is capable to send and receive message from the chat. You can disable that, add some filters, and when a controller is connecting, you can choose to send a message for all LotAtc users, or only in the coalition, or no message in DCS. That's useful for public servers, so every pilot can know that a controller is connect or disconnect. This part is ready for the dedicated part, so you enable the dedicated mode, so it's for server and instance. Here you can choose the profile, so it's kind of the same way that we have in the DCS GUI in the main screen, same option. When I click there, it's also activate that and set this profile. You have some kind of default profile and you can add your own profile. We'll see that in some minutes. You have a part of server authentication. By default, you can connect to any coalition by using the red or the blue password, but you can also block every pilot connected on DCS. So you are sure that there are no cheats. A user cannot be connected with LotAtc and DCS. You can check. You can use a passwordless file. We will see that later to define specific rights on your server. And same for admin command that will be used to administrate the server, the DCS server from LotAtc Advanced. Some plugin here to dump value, etc. Connection with SRS, so to all that is by default, so it works out of the box, but if you want to disable, you can that. If you have on multiple instance, you can set the port EC here and the server. All that allow you to have the transponder connection with SRS, so when you are in your RNet or your A10, you can set inputs the transponder. It works also for FC3 plane. And SRS will automatically send this value to LotAtc server, and you will see transponder value directly in LotAtc with that. For transponders, LotAtc also reads all value for AI, so you can also set transponder value for AI. So same things, search for transponder here. And you have more information about that here for the AI. For the AI, you don't need to have SRS installed, and it works in all modes, solo mode, campaign, etc. You have just to call correctly fill the name of the unit correctly to set the different value. Here it's the part for the LotAtc Link, so we will talk that about later. And there it's more optimization and debug files. So optimization file add different value to optimize the resource of the server. See my article on performance, everything is explained there. So LotAtc try to cut all units in small group and update them regularly and not one block by one block. It's made by small part by small parts. So you can change them. By default, it's correctly set. There is perhaps some things to tweak when you have 3 or 4 or 5,000 of item in DCS, but by default it works well. And debug, same things. You can activate debug. It's have a performance impact, but it gives a lot of information, especially for me. Sometimes I have to ask user to enable that to see what happened. For a standard user, you will not lot of things. And there is some performance test value, but it's not totally up to date now. I talk about that in the article on performance also. So that's it for the config. The config is immediate, and technically it's filling this file, the custom. Yeah, that's it. So it fills that. So if I disable, it will add the logs. It's only set the value if it's not by default. So you can also always edit these files and change the value if you want. You have here the correspondence of the name and the value behind. All default values are in the config with more explanation of that. So you have here all the default value. That's it for the configuration of this part. Is there any question about that? No, it's clear. Okay, let's go to the more important part, the profile part. So the config is really how the server is running, what is enabled, what interaction it can have with other components. The profile is really how you will make the coverage and the tactical situation of LotAtc. There is a lot of options there. In this version, it's quite long. I have reworked everything for the next version. So for the next version, so it's the 2.3. It's more easy. I have range, so I will continue on this version. It will be easier to understand. Up. So in the profile, what information you have? You have the name of the profile, short name that is displayed, the profile name. So some part is displayed in here, and some part are sent to the LotAtc client. That's what you see in the client. I will take my configuration. So here I am, just put that everywhere. You have an option to force the player name. So if it's active, all humans in the server will be displayed with their pseudo in LotAtc client, and not for their unit name or their call sign. So if you want to use call sign, disable that and use call sign here. You can force call sign for all names, so they will not use the unit name, but only the call sign. That's first part. Up. Then you have some filter. So the first one is the terrain filter. So if it's active, LotAtc will use all terrain data if available to compute the line of sight for the radar. So if you are behind a mountain and the radar cannot see you, the terrain will block the radar and you will not be seen in the client. You can disable that if you don't want to use. The speed filter is removing any units that has low speed on the map, generally helicopters, but airplanes also. It's not impacting the airport radar. The airport radar with the airport view is not impacted by this filter. It's only for the tactical view. Then the main part is the radar. So there is two modes now. I simplify from the two. The first one is the default one, as you use generally. All radars available are used to make a global coverage. So every time I have a radar, I will switch on my switch to something up. So in this case, if I have an AWACS here, up, a SAM here, and why not a chip with radar here. When I enable all radar available, all that will be part of the radar coverage. And so this red here will not be seen, but this one will be detected, same than this one, because it's inside one radar. So that's the default mode. And the second one, select radar to use, it's quite different. In this mode, when you connect with a LotAtc client, you will have the list of these 3 radars, and you have to choose which one you want to use. So if you choose the ship, for example, this one will be seen, but not this one because it's not in the ring of the chip. So it's considering that there is no communication between all radar, and you can monitor only one radar. We will see later that if you use data link, so it's since 2.3, sorry, if you enable data link and AWACS as data link, we can see also what AWACS see, because it will share its information, but we will see later. So by default, it's this one. The radar mode is the modelization of the radar you want to use. You can say, okay, I want to see everything. In this case, no radar simulation is the fastest option, but there is no simulation there. Everything on the map is seen by LotAtc. You have the cylinder model. So here, I take the maximum detection range of the radar, and I see everything in its altitude. Same things for sphere model, but radar are considered as a sphere. And last one, the conic model, that is more advanced. It's quite different, because if you have your radar here, you generally see something like that. And here there is a blind cone, So you will see this one, but you will not see this one. It's particularly important on AWACS because if you have an enemy above or beyond AWACS, it will not be seen. My AWACS is here. It's same a blind cone. It's quite narrow. All here cannot be seen. So that's it. It's the most advanced simulation. I have added one little time the ground radar, so you can disable it or detect all ground units, only some units and ships, considering that emission is detected, or only ships as you want. You can activate or not the RCS value. So the RCS value is the radar. It's the surface equivalent surface of the radar. So F117 has a very small radar, RCS, so is detected very near you and not at a long time. A long haul plane, for example, will be seen at a long distance. So it will be taking account the RCS of the plane that is extracted from DCS, and it will be used by the radar to compute if it's seen or not. So low RCS radar will be seen very near you, and a big RCS plane will be seen at a long distance. Next, the radar scan period. It's using the internal radar scan period of the plane. So for example, for AWACS it will be 10 seconds, for example. So if you activate it, each radar has its own scan period. Sorry. If not, the default one, it's the refresh rate of LotAtc, by default 2 seconds. So all radar are updated 2 seconds. It can be changed in advanced. You have, no, sorry, not in advanced. It is in config, it's this one, the update time. So by default, all radar are done a complete scan every 2 seconds. Okay, not a good one. Yes, it was a good one. Let's continue. Let me know if you have some question. I don't know if it's interesting or not. But I continue. The new things in 2.3 is the automation. I have simplified this part because it was complicated before. You have the show data, the show type. It was quite complex to understand. I have simplified that and create 3 options: one for friend, one for neutral, and one for enemy. And for each one, you can choose what you want to see. You want that automatically LotAtc fills information like type, classification, capabilities for all units. So every friend's unit will be known. You know the type. It will be classified at friendly and fighters, bombers, etc. You can only do that only for main radar or ground radar or for nobody. So for none, all friends units will be pending with no information. So you can say, okay, I have information for all my friends, but I don't know here for all others. Or I know that neutral are civil aircraft. I know them. I click that. So you can choose what you want, do, and it will automatically fill classification capability. Why I do that? Because with the ESM that is coming, I will be capable to simulate the sniping and automatically detect a fighter, an enemy fighter, a MiG-31 for example, with its emission of radar, and said, oh okay, this one is a MiG-31, I put it, I tag it MiG-31. So it will be affected by that. Another option, data link, that we'll see here, is not affected by that. If you say here known, but your friendly aircraft have data link, it will be automatically classified as friendly, because data link validate all information about that. It will be easier for server manager and mission maker to know what they want, and they could mix as they want. Hi Mitchos, good to see you. For airport management, so it's the radar view. For the radar view, you have the airport radar mode, so you can disable it. You can see all units, flying or ground unit. You can see only aircraft in flight, or you can see only flying aircraft and with active transponder. So any aircraft on the parking that enable its transponder will be automatically detected and appears on the screen. These parts will be reworked this year with the new LotAtc that I begin to develop. I will tell you when it's ready, but it will be more interesting because currently all radar mode is has the same refresh rate than LotAtc, so every 2 seconds, and for the approaches it's not the best, so I will rework this part and to have a better approach radar modelization. So it's a big part for me, but it will be very interesting and make that very better. It's the big word of the year. Data link. So the data link is a new feature for the 2.3. It's quite complex. It's not perfect. My dream is to be able to connect with the data link of DCS. It is not possible actually, so I cannot connect to the data link of DCS and interact with them. It could be so great to communicate with the Hornet data link and send them to the classification and some things. It is not possible. So I try to do my best to have something that works correctly. So how it's done currently, you can enable the data link, and I get a simulation of the data link for the unit that have data link. So here you can choose which unit have data link. Nobody, everybody. So it's miraculous. MiG-21 has the data link now. Only coalition units with data link, with the L16 and L4, or only the L16 data link only. So you can restrict for the Tomcat, for example, if they can communicate or not. So it's your choice. You choose what you want. You have the data link period, so it's the time between 2 updates of the network. By default, it's 5. You can change that. And oh, it works. I will do a small drawing. Up. So I have my AWACS here. Here was F18 here, a Viper there, and it's its range for data exchange for the AWACS is big. Up, up. In this case, if I set automation for only radars, you will have the AWACS classified and the Hornet and the Viper pending. But they have data link. So they could exchange data with server that is in range with them. In this case, with the AWACS and the 18, they are in range. Same here. So they can exchange data. They are in the same network and they will exchange all data. Currently, what they can exchange, the type, the classification, name. They can also exchange the fuel and the payload. These two are real time, so you can know if your Hornet have always a Fox tree or not under the on board. So that is quite interesting. And they also, if they have a radar, the radar coverage. So what's mean? My Viper is going there. Its radar is like that. And the Bandit is here. It's outside the AWACS part. Yeah. Not seen, but it's seen by the Viper. Automatically, LotAtc will simulate the Viper radar and send them to the network. So this contact here will appear on your screen using the data link of the Viper. So it's the new feature that is activated with the data link. It's automatically shared all this information. My dream is to interact with DCS for that, but it's not yet possible. Little things important for that, this part. No, sorry. I did something wrong. This part, you need LotAtc Link because I cannot get the data without it. So if you have not LotAtc Link, you have not this information. It will work no problem, but you will not have the information of fuel and payload. If you have LotAtc Link, you will get in real time this information. That's important to precise. That's it. I show you in my previous stream, I think, the data link, but I'm pretty sure I will do more stream session of this part later. It's not the subject of tonight. Same next feature that is present is the electronic supermeasure management. So it's the same things. It's allow to get the information of the electronic measure. So for the F18, if here I have a 21 here, on my RWR here I get 21 information that is automatically shared with data link also. And I can have on the LotAtc screen this line telling me that I have a 21 in this. If I do the same things with the Viper, you will have a second line around, and same for AWACS. It will do a third line. So you can do some triangulation manually. directly in LotAtc client. In the future, it will be I will add a simulation that will do this triangulation automatically. So if you have the contact pending, it will automatically switch in the correct type and the classification for that. But it will come later. It's not easy. But actually, with the 2.3, you can do that manually. So see my first stream I have demonstrated, and I will certainly do during another stream how to use that. It's currently set to 30 seconds. It seems that it's quite long, and in reality is slower than that, is faster than that, but you can change when you want. Last things, it's the more advanced things, so like show weapon. So you can show all your fox tree or your JSON visible on the screen, not the bombs, only missile. And if you have RCS enabled, it will respect RCS, so you will not see them each time, but only if it's near a radar, fox tree near the AWACS or something like that, you will see it on the screen. I have also a new option that is show human statue, so you can show it or completely hide it. Why it's important? It's quite interesting to advance version for server that want a lot of realism, to do not know if a contact is a human or not a human. If you check hide status for all, you will have no information at all at any moment that the contact is human or not human. In contrario, you can show status for everybody if you want to have this information. The tracking delay is the option to when the radar see a new contact, you will see a spot, so a round circle, sorry, and it's only a spot radar, and after a tracking delay time, it will that the server see, so it see it during 5 seconds, and after 5 seconds it say, oh okay, it's something, a plane, I create a track for that, and you will have the symbol at this moment. Yes, question here. Yes, you will see the big missile also. If you have RCS activated, it will respect RCS, but you will see them. But generally, it's far away than a friendly radar, and it's also quite fast. So the time you get it, it's tracked by the radar. Generally, your fighter is dead, but you will see it. It should be it will work. So that's the tracking delay. So you can increase or decrease it. It simulates the system to create a track on a radar spot. You can disable it by putting 0 if you want. Use real tracking simulation. It's a quite simulation events. If you check it, LotAtc does not get the information from DCS for altitude, heading, and speed, but try to determine it with the last position of the contact. So it will compute the heading. So if your fighter turn with IG, the heading will not follow immediately because there is a retard due to that. I can perhaps do this. Yep. So if your fighter is here, position 0, echo position 1, 2, 3, etc. In with DCS, up, I will do copy. So with real tracking off, you will have the heading that will do something like that on each step. Because heading is perfect, speed is perfect because it's determined by the DCS itself. So we are tracking off and we are tracking on. It will use the previous position. So here I don't know. Here it will try think that it's like that, like that, like that, etc. So there is an offset and not updated, and you will see a kind of slide of the contact for that. And at the same time, you will have also the prediction of the position. So in fact, it's not really like that. It will be more for position 1, something like that, because he was thinking with the vitesse, the speed, sorry, my French is back. Here, the 2 will be something like here, and the 3 will be something like here, like that. So the contact will jump around in IG because the system try to determine where it is and not the real position. So that's this option. Range resolution, it's the determination of the radar to distinguish two aircraft that is near one for each other. So if you are in patrol and you are one near at 10 meters than over, the radar cannot see two fighters but only one. And the distance actually it's 150 meters between two contacts. So if you were 4 aircraft in 50 meters, only one spot would be detected by the radar. And lastly, the TAF, so the téléaffichage in French for the Mirage. So it's the data link ancestor I have developed with Raspberry and that allow connection with the Mirage and LotAtc. That's something that is very great. I hope to be able to do that for a future aircraft, and the data link at one time. It should be so good. And that's it for all profile information. So the profile, there is some basic one that has delivered with the software. You can create, clone it, and do your own profile. If you want to see them in profile, you have here the base one, and you can go there, saved in the LotAtc data profile, and here you have your custom one. If you put this profile at this place, every instance will see them, so you can do only one file for all server. That's it. As you see, this is the new version of the configurator for 2.3. There is more option. If you click here, it's open directly the LotAtc folder. Same for the side game, and it's capable to tell you which DCS is used at last, and you can launch it with the last, the previous option, for example, here with this option. It's quite easy. You can relaunch it directly from here. Is there any questions on the profile? I will terminate this part by the question of the dedicated port, that it's important, but perhaps there is some questions about profile. No, it's okay. Okay. I will open dedicated. That's one. Okay. So when you are using LotAtc on dedicated, so we have the option to enable it for the dedicated. There is some things to do that's important. That's the question of the port. I have regularly trouble with that because it could be quite complex when you don't know, but be sure that every instance has its own port for DCS, for SRS, but also for LotAtc. So change port, do what you want, but use unique port for each one. It's very important. You can have multiple LotAtc server. There is no need to duplicate anything because each instance will automatically get the Terran data from the main installed gear. They are not copied to the save game. They are used only in the installed directory. So you can have multiple instances. You can start, change, configure, change profile for independently each instance. There is no problem for that. But you have to have a different port each time. So this one for LotAtc, and this one will be used for the LotAtc Link port. That's it. And that's all for this part. I think now we could switch to something else. So for every file you need to put in on server side, so you can put transponder table to automatically fill names or code. So it's some files you put on server side, and if you are using SRS transponder, but it works for AI without SRS also, you can put some files with some information. So about the transponder, you can use mod 1, 2, 3, 4. For DCS, only 1, 3, and 4. And if you put this code in your ORNet, automatically in LotAtc, it will set the name, the type, and the call sign. You can also set the classification and the dimension and everything you have. Every option are described here, so you can set everything that. So you can have multiple files, one for all mod 3, for example, like here. So this one, and you can have another file, for example, with all of mode 1 for your information. And with that, you automatically classified and set information on your contact. It's very useful when you are using advanced realistic mode and all contacts are pending. By putting on my ORNet this mode 3 and this mode 1, controller say, know that I am Bones11, I am in a ORNet, this is my call sign, my onboard number, and my mission. So it's very great to have that. And these files can be put in each instance independently or globally, always in LotAtc data, transponders, blue or red, you put the file here. Same things for drawing. Drawing, you can have your drawing here that will be automatically loaded by the server and sent to the client when they connect. With 2.3, you can have them visible or invisible. And there are also a new option in the configuration that will say where is it? It's a good question. I don't know. Yep. Oh, perhaps no, it's not profile. Yep. LotAtc Link. That's it. Sorry. So you can choose now to import automatically from DCS the drawing and set visible by default, do not import, or hidden by default. So you can choose. Same for the IPs that is now imported from DCS. So IPs, it's the IP button in DCS that you can put on the map. So put mark that is useful for the item, for example. And same thing for the marks. So you can interact with marks, create, delete marks from the LotAtc client, and they will be visible on DCS, on the F10 maps. So you can interact directly. That's very useful. And that's it for that. I hope I am not too boring. And now we will have a bit more fun. I will show you more on LotAtc Link. It's more interesting. Firstly, what is LotAtc Link? Good questions. There is a problem with the DCS API currently. The way LotAtc is connected to DCS, I get a lot of information about airports, items, chat, a lot of things, but I have not access to the mission environment. And in this mission environment, you can get drawing, marks, fuel status, triggers, flags, etc., etc. And it's quite limiting for LotAtc to not have this access. So the goal of LotAtc Link is to have a link with the mission script and execute some routines in the mission script to interact with it and retrieve this data and allow, for example, the data link or the marks, etc., etc. So if I schematize that, you have different environments in DCS. You have the server environment, you have the mission environment. I simplify because there is more, but the main is that. So up. LotAtc Server here is connected with this one, but no access to this one. So I have to create a way to be able to retrieve this data here, and this way is called LotAtc Link. It's a lot of plumbing. It's quite complex internally because I have to create some JSON server and something like that to enable interaction in both ways. But it's not quite mature with the 2.3 and allow interaction. It's allow me the data link, I said, drawing, marks, but also something more simple like airport weather that is not accessible from the server part. You need to use the mission environment to get the airport weather at this step, except if you are using DCS with the GUI, so the interface, but with dedicated server, you have to use LotAtc Link to get airport weather. And everything is done like that. I do my best to make it the simpler to use, but there's some room to enhance. So if I take the 2.2 version, you have to do it manually, and manually it's go to mission area integration. Here you are, better weather update. And you have to add these 2 lines in the mission scripting.lua files in your DCS world install directory. So it's not in the side game, it is in the DCS world directory. And the problem is that on each update, it is resetted, and this part is disappear. So you need to redo that on each update, and it's quite embarrassing. The very good news is that with the 2.3 I have done that automatically. So you have just to set, okay, I want LotAtc Link install, and it will be automatically installed on the launch. So you have nothing to do, just launch. By default, it's enabled here and here. And by default, you install LotAtc Server 2.3 and you launch DCS, and LotAtc Link will run. Be sure that the port here is free. You can change it only here. It's not needed to change anything else. Just change the value here. 1 by instance, so always the same things. And then LotAtc will automatically do this part and load LotAtc Link in memory. That's all. With that, you have all weather, data link, marks, drawing that is working out of the box. Oh, yeah, sorry. I forgot to switch. I redo. Sorry. So that's part. So the JSON server need to be is activated by default, and the LotAtc Link install is by default too. So with that, it's automatically add this line in the mission scripting LUA, and with the 2.3 you have no need to do that manually. So it's great. And for the next version of the 2.3, I also manage the SL mode server, so I also install it automatically with SL mode server. So it's very good news. That's it. So starting with 2.3, it will be very easy to have LotAtc Link installed, and no more need to edit any files. It will be automatically if all is okay. You can check in the logs. In the logs there is some line. You search for link. You will see if it's enabled or not. If you don't see anything, that means that it's not enabled. So on the start, LotAtc server is running. When the mission is loaded, I automatically load LotAtc Link that make the links with the LotAtc server and then communicate. The link is established and the data can transit in between the two. And nothing to do more to have all data, data link, etc., etc. work. But if you want to manipulate AI, you need extra steps. Why? Because by default, I deactivate it. The goal is not to allow everyone to manipulate AI on any server, so you need to be authenticated before using that. That's the part of the server authentication. Here you can use a password list files. So you can use a file. You have an example available that is installed in Cell Games service LotAtc. Here you have the user list example JSON. You make a copy. You call like you want. You put here the name. Up. That's it. You enable admin command if you want. So admin command is allow to manipulate server at distance. So you can make unpause, pause, stop a mission, load a mission directly from LotAtc Advanced client license. You can also kick LotAtc clients if you want. If someone need to be kicked, you can. So you can enable admin command. Same things for admin command. You need to be authenticated as admin to allow that. How to do is quite easy. Just open the file. Here, the example, you have on the blue correlation, login is Dart, password is LotAtc. Allow admin yes or false. Got you, it's allowing instructor or advanced user to see all the contacts, even if they are not covered by radar. It's quite easy to debug or to see what's really happened. So you can disable it. It's quite cheating. Allow user flag, it's allowing you to interact with the user flag of the mission script directly. So you can set true or false. And the full move, it's the most complex things because it's allowing you to move units at some place they cannot. For example, you can move the carrier on mountains. So by default it's false. You can only move carriers on the sea. It works on the lakes, but you can also set true, and now I can move carriers to the mountains. We will see that in a minute. Once I got set my user list on, here, okay, admin command, okay, I can launch my server. So let's go. I also launch my LotAtc client. This one is faster. How to test that is quite easy. You have in instant action automatically the LotAtc for DCS Air mission in Caucasus, and you have the LotAtc Link ready mission. Just launch it. that's it. So and now I can connect either with the standard blue radio. In this case, I'm a simple controller. I have no rights in the server. You can see here, no server command is to connect directly. But if I connect with dot and LotAtc in this case, I gain full rights here. And I can pause the mission. It is now pause in DCS and start the mission. Here. And this ornet is this one. So if I want it's one. There's a quite delay, but it's standing and do what I want. So in this case, the order is done in LotAtc Advanced, sent to LotAtc Server, then pass to LotAtc Link to the mission script that executes a new script that changes something. I can tell my unit to climb. Of course, you have all limitations that moves have with DCS AI manipulation. It's not perfect, but it's quite interesting to do some EVR flight training. For example, you can manipulate the AI using that. It's not complete yet, but it will hence future version. You can change the speed, etc. And you have also basic order, for example, if you want to tell the unit to go to the second unit to do. It works for all units. Here is the ornet. It will work also for the Roosevelt. My Roosevelt is waiting here, and I will tell him to start. Of course, it's not quite, but if you see the speed is beginning to increase, and can speed up a little. You see it's moving, and something you can change its heading. It will turn tranquilly. It works also for helicopters, but it works also for ground units. So the goal at long term is to be able to control everything, especially radars, to change the position of the AWACS, for example, to put the carrier in the wind or something like that. But you can also manipulate this kind of units and same things. It will run. And it at this time is not aimed for production server or important server, but it's quite interesting to have this. And the last things is that you can directly move it here, and the unit will disappear and be recreated here. You have moved the unit in the other place. It works for a lot of things, for example, carrier. Up. Carrier is now here. Perhaps it's more near the coast. That's it. So there's a lot of things to do with that. Very great. As you see, disappear because I think okay, it's rather things. And the hollow control, the full move control allow you to do some strange things like this one. It's really just for fun, but it's quite fun. I have not tried yet to land on the carrier, but perhaps it works. It's working. So it's really the start of the manipulation of AI. I am quite limited by DCS itself because there is no magic behind. I'm only using moves to create and changing that. But there are already some interesting feature. For example, you can directly manipulate all a group. So all the group will move, as you see. And you can also tell them to do orbit, hold, or do a cap at this point, and it will be do the job correctly. And that's it for that. I will put the Roosevelt in the C. I do not like that. And that's it. And that's the end of the LotAtc Server demonstration. I hope it was interesting for you. There's a lot of options. I try to do my best to make it simple, but customizable for everybody. If you have questions, it's the time. I listen you. No question? For the full control missile launch, I can technically do everything moves or mission scripting allow me to do. But it's quite time consuming, so that's but there is no limitation. Mission script is the limitation, so everything can be done in mission script can be done using this procedure. The biggest problem was the communication between LotAtc Advanced to the mission script. It is now done through Mission Link. To fill doc inside LotAtc, I have an idea since the Open Keyboard project starts is to able to interact with that. It is technically possible. It could be great to be able to send a 9.9 directly to the keyboard of the pilot. There's a lot of things to do in this part. It can be done like that. Currently, you can send value, you can send data to the pilot using the chat mechanism, but it's not quite easy for pilots to see the chat. So perhaps the keyboard could be a great idea to explore. There's lots of things to do. The most complicated things is to make everything communicate. And it's done. So now we can think about fun things or the way to make communication everything. Anything else? I think I will done the next stream will be certainly either the new 2.3 features, but also I would like to make one on the LotAtc generator and editor to show you what we can do and why this project is here. So I will try to do that. For the 2.3, the version it's quite ready. I'm currently finishing some parts, but I hope to release it in few days, perhaps optimistic. Next week or the next after, but it will come shortly. It's really near the finished. I would like to do this stream on the 2.3, but I detect an issue today, so it's something that I have to fix before any release. My goal is to release it as soon as possible, as it's a lot of new feature. It's a new engine behind. There's a lot of performance issue that have been fixed with that. So that's it. So thank you for your time. No, it will not be compatible. Each time you change the minor, so 2.2 to 2.3, it is no more compatible. But with the 2.3, it should be the last time I get that, because I changed the network protocol, and now I hope I plan everything, but normally all future releases will be compatible in any way for all the rest of the time. Big promise, but I hope it will be okay. So it's the last time I have to break the compatibility. I hope it's the last time. Okay, so if you have no more questions, I will stop the stream here. Thank you for watching, and I hope to have a next stream the next month on another subject. I hope it was interesting, and see you later. Thank you. Bye bye.